Good afternoon. Looks like we're live and ready to go on our Thursday roundtable. Very excited about our guests today, and I've got several actually that's going to be in this whole live, but they're coming at different times. So as we go throughout this, we're going to definitely hear from all of you, and we appreciate it. Look forward to it. On my top left-hand corner, I have Miss Patti Gilliano-McClung. Welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to be here.
And then we also have Dr. Derek Curtis that's here. And I just now noticed I'm twice. So I'm going to take myself over there. I was twice on the screen.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And then also we have Devon Bennett at the bottom. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Okay, what I'd like to do just really briefly, tell us about each of your organizations. Let's start with Patti, and then Derek, and you can tell us about what's going on with your current situation as well, Devon.
Yeah, hi. I'm Patti, and I currently am with Common Spirit down in the South Houston market. I've got three hospitals down here in the South market, and we're an organization that really spans across the country. But Texas is definitely a place where we feel like we've got some opportunities to really beef up our staffing, because it's just been, challenging over the last couple months, especially working through COVID, and definitely looking at some opportunities and creative ways to not just, acquire staff, but to retain staff. I think retention is a big opportunity for us. So great to be here and happy to answer any kind of questions and discussion.
Awesome. Mr. Derek Curtis, Dr. Derek Curtis, you.
Yeah, so I'm Derek Curtis, Chief Nursing Officer at LBJ Hospital, Harris Health System. We're a safety net hospital. Our mission is to serve the underserved at within Harris County. And so that's an exciting mission for us. So those patients, those community members that don't have the resources, medical resources and opportunities, we provide that for that population. So I'm honored and humbled to serve. And as Patricia stated, the challenge for us, again, is staffing, recruitment, and retention is a big focus. Now that we're starting to see a decrease in some of the COVID numbers, and as services increase, we now need the staff to take care of those patients that are now returning to the hospital, that are returning to their clinic visits. So that's a challenge for us right now.
Thank you. And Mr. Devon Bennett.
Hi, Devon. I recently served as the Chief Nursing Officer at White Oak Medical Center Adventist Healthcare in Silver Spring, Michigan. I'm sorry, in Silver Spring, Maryland. I share this. We share the same concerns that I'm hearing from Patricia and Derek. Staffing, and then we go on to retention. How do we retain those that we newly hired? And I think we may have an opportunity for all those nurses who were 1 year or 2 years in the business who suddenly ran off in January or before to go travel. I think now that the rates are going down, they may want to come back home, Curtis and Patricia. So we may want to look at those folk again to rehire them back into the organization.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. And we have quite a few that are very happy that you took your time out of your day to spend it with us. In fact, I just want to double check you. Yeah. So we got quite a few out there who are very happy. So you I don't know if you saw that, but I was able to cut to a different scene there. In fact, I'm just going to change my view where you can see that going forward. I just thought about that. So guys, you're just coming in. I see some who are already coming in and saying hello. We have Dr. Rosina Malaska. She's coming in from Indiana, so thank you. In fact, Dr. Rosina Malaska is going to be on the show this coming Thursday, so we look forward to having her on here as well. Let me just double check here. There we go. So I want to kind of get into some of the things I want to talk about. I want to talk about positive developments. What are you seeing in your staff, and some things you've been doing with your staff? And then also we'd love to pick up some leadership tips along the way. So maybe we can start off with that. Who would like to start off first with either their leadership tip of the day or perhaps something positive that's going on? Okay, so Patti wants to go first. Go for it.
Yeah, I thought I was talking in my phone and my computer. I heard, it's tough when you hear your own feedback. My big thing is building relationships. It's my tip of the day, but it's also the things that we're really focused on. And I think in any market now, people have options and opportunities. And so it is very competitive. And so the only way we can do something better is if we can really capture the essence of why that person does what they does. And that's the conversation I have that goes that it's not always about money. I mean, money is important, but you can go from job to job just chasing that dollar, but it's about who the people you work with. So relationship building is key for us. And that's what's really, I think, going to help retention. I do a weekly chat with the CNO. And since COVID, I've kind of put it on live virtual like this. And so every day, in fact, that's where I'm off after here, is I have a live session with the staff. Anybody can jump in and ask questions. I usually give a weekly update. And that really helps for people to connect, especially in larger organizations. And as far as retention too, putting teams together that really help the staff know that when you round, you're asking about making sure they have tools to do the job. Because oftentimes, you think during the day, everything's fine. You leave at night, you leave on the weekend. Coming in, the staff on the weekend or at night are frustrated. And so I've kind of put some process improvement rounding tools in place so that we're really checking on staff 24/7 to make sure that they have the tools that they need. And I think in a market like this, you've got to have relationships down to the staff person who's probably the newest and possibly, of the lower end of the pay scale, because staff need to know who their senior leaders are. And so that's just something that I've grown over the years and put in place. And so it's all about relationship building, making a great work environment.
Appreciate that. Very good. How about you, Dr. Curtis?
Yeah, so I would, echo what Patricia stated as well. So for me, I think the key is being transparent, having open communication, listening with the intent to hear what the concerns are from the staff, I think is very important. And so at this time, staff need to heal. And so as we've kind of we start to see the decrease in number of COVID patients. And so staff now, as we close some of our COVID units and we see the decrease in number of COVID patients in our ICUs, we now have to have time for the staff to heal and time for the staff to take some PTO, time off, to reach out to employee assistants and get those resources that they need to really get back to being who they are, being themselves. And then we've also kind of focused on getting back to what they really love to do, and that's take care of patients. I think with COVID, they became very task oriented because we had so many patients coming in, and we had patients and we expanded our workspaces. We increased the number of ICU beds that we had, and we also lost staff at the same time. So they became very task oriented. So now that they have this moment and we kind of see a decrease in the number of patients, it's time to heal and get back to doing what they really love to do most, and that's take care of patients, but in a caring manner. So shortcuts that we may have taken because we were overloaded with patients, we now have to get back to that, back to the quality initiatives that we were focused on prior to COVID, taking care of patients in a manner where we're causing zero harm to the patient. And then with the staff themselves, letting them also have that voice where they can kind of make decisions on what's the way forward, what does staffing look like, what's going to be beneficial for us so that we can provide that excellent care for our patients.
Excellent. That's very good. How about you, Devon?
It would sound like I'm parroting Patricia and Derek, but that is the same thing that I have, that I think it is important for nursing to succeed with recruitment, and especially with retention. The staff must have a relationship with the leaders. They must know who their leaders are, not from a monthly newsletter, but like Patricia said, she has a day when she has a CNO Live, or through purposeful or intentional rounding. One of the things I'm proud of at Bennett Health was I was commissioned with developing a leadership rounding, and where the executive suite for set times during the week, we go out and we meet the staff. Because the staff said to me, Devon, I know you, but who is the CMO and who is that person? And so one day I remembered that when we had the Daisy Award, the CEO was there, the CMO was there, the COO was there, and I took the pleasure and pride in introducing to the frontline staff on the unit. This is our president. This is our CMO. This is our COO. And when they left, I stayed behind. And they said, now we know who these people are. Now we know who they are. And as a leader, I believe that it is important for me to have a credible relationship, trusting relationship with the patient-facing staff. I must also have this trustworthy relationship with my direct reports. It gives me great pride. For one day I can see this director of infection control with her bright smile and the gap between her teeth, and said, "Devon, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, I feel so supported." And so it is important that leaders feel supported, and so that they in turn can give some of that support onto their patient-facing staff.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I'll have some follow-up questions here. I know, Patti, you talked about being open and transparent. What are some things that you do to help? I know you said you have the virtual meetings. That's a step. What are some other things that you do consciously with intention to help make sure there's a certain amount of transparency there?
For me, it's kind of just a natural thing, but, I give my cell phone number to everyone. I give out my card, which has my cell phone number to everyone. So I start with hospital orientation. I give all the new employees my card with my cell phone. And just as an example, we've had some challenges in radiology. So the MRI tech has been chatting with me throughout the week because we're in the process of hiring a new director for radiology. And so she has an open door. She asked if she could meet with me. And since I wasn't on this campus yesterday, I said, I'm not here today, but tomorrow, Thursday, I said I will be back at our Sugar Land campus. And so she said, okay, well, just text me when you're free. And so I shot her a message and I said, hey, come on up. I've got about, half an hour. And so she came right up. And that was one of the things she said to me. She's like, I don't think I've ever had a senior leader. She goes, I've never been in this office before. She said, I've never had a senior leader just allow me to come up and talk to them. And I told her, as I tell everybody, I was a staff person once. I'm still a staff person, right? I'm an employee, but I have a different role. And I said, I'm always a nurse. I'm a nurse first. And I said, we have to communicate and collaborate with all the disciplines. So I think that's part of my transparency. The other part is you've got to be out there visible, whether you do it in the morning or at night or somewhere in the middle of the day. You have to hit at least 1 or 2 units. And you just keep mixing it up until you get all the units covered, and then you go back around again and make sure that staff know that you're out there, just letting them know that you see what they're doing and you're proud of what they're doing. You don't go out there and say, well, this doesn't look right and that doesn't look right. You've got to be out there and you've got to let them know, hey, great job. You can always find things that you can improve, but there's a way to go about doing them, and you don't want to catch anybody on the spot and say, why is this happening? Why is that happening? You can always work around behind the scenes there, but let them know that you were there and it was, you're proud of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think the audience likes that
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Very good. So let me ask you this. I noticed you said rounding. You said rounding, Patti, and also Devon, you said rounding. For you, Devon, what's a component of a good rounding for you?
So the component of a good rounding for me is a rounding that has an element of surprise. So like Patricia said, I typically come in and one of my first must do for the day is going up and down the hospital just to see what happened overnight and what kind of day we're about to have. And so that's my way of making sure I meet the night shift patient-facing staff who keep the hospital afloat while we sleep at night. So it is important to me that I round and meet them early in the morning. So the surprise element for me goes like this. So one morning I was rounding on a particular unit and I saw a nurse starting an IV, and it appeared as if she was having a challenge with starting the IV. So I said, hey, can I help you with that? And she's like, no, you're the CNO. Oh, no, absolutely not. I said, no, let me try. I said, no, she convinced me that I should not try because I was a CNO. So I said, okay. Then I left, but I was not at peace. So I turned back around. I went to her, I said, I really want to try. I was an ED nurse, so I think I still have the skills. And so I said, give me the equipment. I looked at the vein. I said, give me a size 24 gauge needle. And I said, I'll start this IV. So she reluctantly went, got the supplies. And within a second, I got the IV, one try. Then I said to her, make sure you tell everyone on the floor that the CNO got this, okay? Because I wanted them to know that the CNO has credibility.
Right.
In the C-suite doing C-suite stuff. But he's relatable. And so to me, that's what an effective rounding is about, helping where you can. Recently, I got a call from a hospital in Brooklyn, and they said, Devon, we miss you because we know that when things are tough in the ICU, even if you didn't do a whole lot, at least you come and try to help turn a patient. And so to me, that kind of engagement results in positive employee engagement also.
Oh, I love it. That's great. I want to see what the audience thinks as well. That was excellent. Yep. You got some fans out there. And also, we have another guest who just came on, Miss Ena Williams. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Ena.
So tell us briefly a little bit about your organization to let our viewers know about the wonderful organization that you work with.
All right, Roland, can you roll that again? I'm sorry, I had a little bit of an interruption here.
Just a quick introduction on your organization so our viewers can know a little bit about the great things you guys are doing and the kind of the scope of your organization.
Okay. Well, good afternoon to my new friends here that I'm going to be meeting and colleagues that I see, Derek and Devon and Patricia and Joanne and Jonathan. My name's Ena Williams. I am the Chief Nursing Officer and Senior Vice President at Yale New Haven Hospital. We are located in Connecticut, and we are the clinical site for the Yale School of Medicine. We are a 1,500-bed hospital, 1,541 actually, to be exact. We have two campuses. One campus is 1,000 beds. The other campus is 541 beds, and we have close to 200 clinical sites that are clinicians operating. We have about 14,000 employees, and I have the wonderful opportunity of working with about 6,000 nurses, among the best, I will say among the best in the country. We are a magnet designated organization, actually been designated twice.
Awesome.
And we just completed our virtual site visit for our third and have a call coming up, which we hope we will get some good news on. We also have been recognized in U.S. News and World Report. And we've also been recognized, we just got recognized by Diversity Inc. as an organization, a diverse organization. We have spent a lot of time over the last maybe 10 to 15 years really trying to improve in this space, and both from a practice perspective, a leadership perspective, community relations perspective. And, you know, we as proud as we are of the work that we've done, we've got lots more work to do. And so we're really committed and focused on that work.
Well, thank you for being here today. We appreciate that. I want to piggyback on one comment that I think Derek made earlier, and I want us to all kind of give our individual takes on this. You talked about vacation, PTO. Folks are tired. They're ready to take some time off. And so can you walk us through some of your thought process of how do you think is a good way to handle that? Because everybody's going to want to take it like off now. They're going to like as soon as available, we all want to take it. So how do you go through that process of figuring out who's able to take vacation when?
So we've actually kind of looked at it by unit and what resources they have available, looking at the total number of vacancies, but really kind of left it up to the staff themselves. So we do a lot of self-scheduling. And so then the staff can kind of schedule their PTO days, and then they will cover down maybe from another unit. If we have 3 nurses that are off on one given unit, and then we'll cover down from another unit so that they can kind of rotate and get their time off. I think it's very important, but it's very interesting when I rounded on a unit, the perception of the nursing staff was, you know, we don't get an opportunity to take PTO. And I'm like, well, are your leaders not allowing you to schedule PTO? And they were like, yes, they are, but we don't want to leave our teammates and our peers short when we are short staffed. And that's, I really appreciate that, and I understand that. But each of you have to take the time to individually take care of yourself. And so it is important that you schedule your PTO, take your time off, regroup, because we'll have staff that can cover. Because I guarantee you that the patient and the volume is not going to decrease because as we open up services, now we see an increase in our EC visits. We're seeing an increase, not necessarily with COVID, but now we're having more acute patients showing up in the EC. So we're filling up our IMU beds, we're filling up our ICU beds with non-COVID patients. And so they have to take the time to take off. And so it's just a matter of looking at their schedule, talking with their leaders, talking with their nurse managers, and the nurse managers supporting their time that they request.
Appreciate that. Dr. Rosina Malaska says she loves hearing this. Great job. So thank you so far. Patti, I know you've got to leave here in just a minute. You want to give your take before you have to head out?
Yeah, I'll try to be real brief, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to have me on. I'm sorry I won't be able to stay on for questions, but just a jam-packed day here down in Houston. But you're right. I make sure that I teach everybody about nurturing themselves, and I try to get folks to realize just 1 hour a day. You have to get at least 1 hour a day, and sometimes an hour may not be enough, right? But I ask for just 1 total hour of a day, so that if I need to, I can step away and come back and help out at night, to support the team or do whatever's necessary. I think the nurturing piece is important. And my last comment is staff need to realize it's a two-way street, and there's not necessarily a rule book. Of course, we all think that we're trained in some of these great leadership positions, but how often do we take staff and we just put a hat on them to call them charge nurses, or a hat to call them managers, and then there's those setups for failure? We as staff have to ask questions and take the opportunity to reach out to your senior leaders. Maybe they've never been approached before, and maybe if someone opened the door, vice versa, you can be the person to be that change and be the builder of a great relationship. And us as senior leaders, we just have to do an awesome job of reaching out and making sure we get to know people by name, and making sure that we have that time to be visible. So I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you, and I just want to check with the audience, and they also appreciate your time. So there you go, right there.
There you go. Thank you. It's great to see you guys, and hopefully I'll catch up with you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Patti.
We're going to have to connect.
Absolutely.
Here in Houston.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We can tap in. I'm down in Sugar Land usually, so
okay.
We'll connect on LinkedIn. Talk to you soon. All right,
Nice
bye-bye.
to meet you,
so much.
Patricia.
You too. Take care. Thank you all of you, and Devon as well. Thanks.
Yes, nice to meet you, Patricia.
All right, take care, Rollis.
Thank you. And Ena, I know you've got a time constraint as well. So how much time do we have with you? I want to make sure I gauge that properly.
I think I'm actually good till 4.
Oh, excellent. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I'm good till 4.
So we're going to continue on with this conversation. What is your take, Devon? What's your take on vacation, how you handle it, and then we'll also get Ena's take on this as well.
So in the state of Maryland, and my former employee at Adventist Health, where I served as CNO, one of the things we did, the White Oak Medical Center was one of the hardest hit hospitals as relates to COVID patients during the first surge. And so the recruiting department did a phenomenal job in bringing onboarding staff. And what we realized as the numbers went down and we saw how hard staff worked, we needed to flex down because the numbers were decreasing. We encouraged staff to take time off and supplemented that with the agency staff that we were already paying for. And so that gave us the opportunity to say at least every unit has an opportunity for X amount of staff to get a PTO. And so that's what we did at that time.
Excellent. Okay, how about you? How about for your organization, Ena?
Yeah, so we were really involved in the wave 1, and at that time we happened to have additional resources because we closed our ORs and all most of the ambulatory areas. And as we came off of the first wave, which probably lasted between March and I would say till the end of June, July. And there was a period there where we said no PTO was allowed just because it just, plus people didn't really want to go anywhere anyway. We really, after the first wave, really started emphasizing that individuals really needed to take their time off. And so traditionally what happens here is that we look a year ahead in terms of vacation, and people tend to pick their vacations. By the end of the year, they have sort of selected their vacation. And except for the folks that might have been caught within that wave, we honored the rest of the vacation and then really encouraged folks. And again, to your point, Devon, we kept some of our agency staff on board, especially in our ICUs, just to make sure that people could take the time off. So we've been kind of doing this since last year, not waiting for the world to be opened up, but continuing to support our teams taking their time off. And what we've said to them is we'll figure out the schedule. We had a short incentive when we had our wave 2. One was to just recognize our teams who had been working for so long, and to not make them feel as if, well, we pay the agency, but we don't reward them. And so that, I think, also has helped us to be able to give some time off. So we've just been kind of managing that throughout.
Excellent. Appreciate that. And then Rosina Malaska, Dr. Malaska says, this is awesome. Not many nurses are getting this kind of support. And she's a fellow nurse. So she's a DNP. So she appreciates the work y'all are doing. So I have a question.
We're very transparent. We tell the staff we know they're tired. We tell them we're tired. We're not shy about talking about it. We talk about the PTSD. We talk about the struggles we know they're having. In fact, we've had a number of open forums. As recently as last week, we had open a Zoom town hall where we had nurses share their experience about, COVID and some of their struggles and ways that they're learning to manage that, and really talking about teaching them resilience skills and creating those opportunities for folks to learn how to take care of themselves. Because, you can roll out the red carpet as much as you want, but if you don't step on the carpet, you're not going to enjoy the view, right? So,
Exactly.
We're really trying to teach our teams, here it is, we've created the menu for you, but really some of this is really in your hands. But we're here, we'll catch you, we'll hold you, we'll, support you, but we want you to participate in that process.
Appreciate that. Okay, so I just want to shift gears for a little bit. I want to ask a quick fun question to those on our panel, and those in the comments. I want you to answer as well. By the way, Rosina says that is awesome. You all are unique, so she appreciates what you just said. In your opinion, who has the greatest singing voice of all time?
Luther Vandross.
Luther Vandross. Oh, I love Luther Vandross.
Oh no, Bob Marley. What are you guys talking about?
I love Bob Marley too, though.
Well, Ena, if you say Bob Marley, then I'm going to have to say Peter Tosh.
There you go. There you go. Now
okay.
you're talking.
But if I want to be a citizen of the world, I'm going to say Pavarotti, who's the greatest singer of all.
There you go.
That's another great. These are great ones, guys. Wow, I'm getting chills. Those are amazing
and then
ones.
there's Beyonce and Rihanna. I mean, it just gets bad after that. I mean, there's Katie. I mean, oh my God, J-Lo. I mean, seriously, do you really want us to answer that question? But I have to say about Marley. I mean, I just say,
What would you say, Devin?
I didn't hear Curtis's pick.
Luther Vandross.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's your favorite song by Luther Vandross, Derek?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. You caught me off guard on that one.
Okay. I'll give you mine. Never Too Much. This was his first big hit. Never Too Much. 1,000 Kisses from You is Never Enough. I love that song.
Okay.
How about Bob Marley? Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
No, I have to think about that one.
Okay, Ena, what's your favorite Bob Marley song?
my favorite Bob Marley song is Redemption Song.
Ooh, I love that one. Yes.
Yeah.
It talks about emancipating yourself and tells you how to, free yourself from mental slavery.
Oh, I love
that. That is my favorite song.
Yes, yeah, man. Been loving the song too, and then what about you, Devin? What's your favorite?
I can't, like Curtis, I don't have one right now, but I know that I have a lot. But for Pavarotti, I like the operas a lot. So the Barber of Seville and Figaro.
Oh, yes. Oh, love that one.
Yeah, okay. So it would be Always and Forever.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah, that's a
classic.
Nice one. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so going back to our discussion. In fact, you know what? As we go back into the discussion, do you utilize music in any sort of way in your practice when you're connecting with nurses, when you're having meetings? Do you allude to it in your presentations? Do you use music at all in your your communications with your staff or your organization?
That's a good question. Can't recall where I've used music in like a town hall, just to kind of set the tone. We had a nurse gala last weekend, and so as we had our award ceremony and recognizing nurses and nurse leaders, there was music played as they walked on the stage, which was kind of entertaining as well. So,
absolutely.
And then now that I think about it, so when we had when we were getting ready to prepare for our call for Magnet, and on September the 15th, I played a Magnet song playlist for staff to kind of listen to as the audience came in. And of course, we're social distancing. And one of my favorite songs is I'm a Conqueror. And so I played that, and it was great. And it kind of put everybody at ease and had a good time while they were waiting for our announcement.
Awesome. And Ena, I saw you moving forward. I think you got something to share too. I feel like you have something to say.
Well, I love music. Probably the reason I love it, I've been kind of singing since I was a little girl. My family sang when we were growing up. I sang in a gospel band back in the days when my brother was the leader. Did some recording in the studio and stuff.
All right.
So I love music, and so it's the thing that gets me going. I use it probably a lot more this past year than I've done before. I like to use it at the beginning of a meeting, sometimes just to cheer the group up, but really have been very intentional about selecting music that sort of conveys a certain message or encourages the soul of our people as we were going through this past year. So sometimes I will end the meeting, the town hall meeting, with a song, or I will open it up with a song, or sometimes I'll ask the audience to send me the something that they may have heard recently that speaks to them. We use the Brown and Gray song quite a bit to open and close. We actually used it during some of our Magnet visits. It's sort of almost becoming a tradition now. It's like, and then last week we had a talent show for the first time. We closed out our Nurses Week with a talent show. We had a team that planned the week for Nurses Week, and they wanted to do a talent show. And I'm like, well, do whatever you want. You guys are in charge. It was amazing. We discovered talents among our team, and it was all virtual. They had to send in a 3-minute clip. And then we asked our CEO and our president to sort of be the moderator of the talent show. It was fantastic. It was just amazing.
I love this. I love
that.
People online. It was really fun. So yeah.
I've got a question for you. I was thinking about this. I actually have it written down in my goals. And tell me what you think of this idea. I was thinking about having a talent show in conjunction with my live, right, where we can have different acts from different healthcare systems, and we have a show where we just give them an opportunity to show their talents on LinkedIn Live one day. What do you think?
That's awesome.
Sounds
That would be
awesome
fun.
to me.
If you can get it
I think
going,
that would be great.
Okay, so you know what? You guys are giving me the confirmation I need. I think I'm gonna start working on that. So Rosina says Bob Marley that was her favorite. She says she's part of my culture. She says many great singers in the world. She says, oh yeah, Redemption is an awesome one. She loves that one too. Oh, and she liked my West Indian twang. She liked that. My wife was from Jamaica, so me learn quite a bit of the patois, just a little bit here, there. A little bit, I should
Don't mess
say.
up the thing now, Don't mess up the thing now. Do not mess up the thing now. You was
Just
doing
trying to do
good.
the very best, So she's from Guyana. Georgina Molasses from Guyana. So we've got an international team here because I know you're from Jamaica, Ena, as well as Devon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So anyway, see, she says music is my stress reliever. Which is good. Oh, and they like the talent show idea too. Excellent. So you know what, guys? We're probably going to have a talent show at some point on one of my lives. Okay. One of the things I wanted to follow up to is I like what Derek said earlier about task oriented versus moving into more of a patient centered care. And so maybe you can give a couple of examples of maybe ways you've done that, and then we kind of go roundtable on that as to what you've seen from your perspectives on how you're making that shift from the task orientation to more of the patient-centered.
One of the things I like the way Adventist does it is that for the nurse residency program, they have the first month of nurse residency, the nurses go through different disciplines in the hospital versus you were hired for med surg, you just do med surg. So they rotate through the emergency department, they'll rotate through ICU, rotate through tele, all the different clinical areas, and just get a deep understanding of what nursing is like in those areas, so that when they go back to the area, they can have a global point of view. And so in the practice, you know, when I round and I tend to ask a question and follow up, and you know, some new nurses, seasoned nurses are not intimidated, but some new nurses going to be intimidated because, you know, the CNO is here and the CNO is asking me a question and I have to be perfect. And if I don't give a perfect answer, Ena, then the CNO will think of me forever like I'm not a good nurse. And so you have to calm them down. But I really walk around and I assess for critical thinking. How much are they thinking? How much is it just the task at hand? And are they thinking in different ways? So that's one way that I in my rounding, I tend to observe for that, because Derek is right. And especially Derek, I am curious about the nurses who are graduating in 2020 and didn't get much clinical practice. And so, you know, we will now have to spend a lot more time training these nurses as if they were in nursing school. And so getting the critical thinking piece in is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. And so we've added more clinical resource nurses or educators to our platform to help mold the new nurses, the new grads that are coming on board. So not only are they in a residency program, but they also have educators that are on the unit and helping them with their decision making, helping them to become better critical thinkers, look at situations and determine what's the best avenue of approach for that particular patient with their particular diagnosis or disease process. So that's very important. But I will share, so what we've done is I kind of leaned into my shared governance committee. So I also have a staff advisory committee. I have we call it communities of practice. And so that's the staff nurse on each unit. They come together and they have a chair. And then we also have a chair that consists of the nurse managers. And so they all came together and they presented a program, and the program was entitled Love What You Do and Love Yourself. And so each staff member from each department, so whether it was ICU, EC, IMU, or med-surg floor, they presented their experience through COVID. They shared, you know, how they became task-oriented. They expressed what their fears were, and they shared some of the dislikes of what they had to go through, but they were able to express it, and they expressed it to each other. And so they shared what they went through, and that was very helpful for them. And so it gave them an avenue to kind of vent and talk about what their concerns were. And so as they developed that approach, then they went back and came together and said, okay, how do we get back to, let's get rid of the tasks and let's focus on our patients. How do we make sure that we're doing a complete patient assessment as we should? Are we looking at our RV sites? Are we doing all of the bundles that we say we're going to do now? We got to get back to the basics of caring for the patient holistically. And so I was very impressed. And this came from the frontline staff and not from leadership.
Very good. How about you? You know, you have something you want to add to that?
Well, I don't know that we've actually thought about it in that way. I know for the new nurses that are coming out, we actually just had this discussion yesterday about how do we prepare ourselves, because we traditionally onboard hundreds of nurses over the summer. And so my charge to the team was, let's not wait for them to fail. We know this train is coming, so let's plan for them so that this can be a good transition. We did a short trial design of a program in December, January, because we were concerned about those students that were going to be graduating this year who had missed their clinicals. And we developed a program called a Bridge to Professional Practice, where we actually allow the students to come into the hospital for 60 hours, and they were able to use that as part of their hours to their clinical practice program. It was phenomenal. We had about 450 students that came through our health system. Then we converted them into those that wanted to be student nurse interns, because we wanted to continue to expose them. And so we've hired maybe almost 200 of them. It's our recruiting tool. 70% of them are probably going to work for us. So we were kind of selfish, in like, okay, we'll build it because, we want you to come. So many of them are working as student nurse interns, and we were very intentional not to put them in a PCA or an aide role. We wanted them to stay in the student nurse mode because we wanted them to start thinking of themselves as nurses transitioning into practice. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that group does. And then the juniors who are going to become seniors who missed 2 years, they would have missed all of last year and they would have missed a significant part of this year. Thinking about what it is that we do to get them on board, and like I said, not waiting for the train to hit us, but making sure that we've created the runway for them. And so we're actually looking at a program that we're going to call a rescue program, so that if it tends to look like they're getting in trouble, that we're not addressing it just from a local unit perspective, but we're actually looking at it globally so that we're caring for those individuals in the best way possible. So it will be interesting to see how that works.
Very good. Excellent. I love all this feedback. So Rosina is saying...
the last thing we've done, let me just add one more thing. From the tactical to the more global thinking. In 2019, to address that issue, Derek and Devon, we implemented what we call a clinical nurse transition coach program. So this was we pulled our experienced nurses because, again, I think we onboarded 700 new nurses that year. And we knew that there wouldn't be enough, there would be a tipping point on some of those units in terms of how many new nurses you had and the experience level. So on nights and 24/7 hours on the weekend, those experienced nurses, we did it like a faculty, one nurse to about 10 new grads, and post their orientation. So they've got their preceptor, post orientation, they get this coach that stays with them. And the purpose of that is to do exactly that, is to help them move them from this task oriented to really begin to think of themselves, think of the patient in a very global way. It has been a phenomenal experience. And the nurses are saying, you mean we didn't have this all the time? Like, how did those other nurses survive without this program? So,
right.
I love that.
We've seen our first year turnover rate just literally plummet.
Wow.
I'm going to backdoor it to you. I'm going to get a backdoor to you to find out.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're writing it up. It should be out in one of those journals in the next couple of months, but we can talk about it offline.
Yeah, that's going to be too long.
Yeah, too long. Happy to share.
I love this. I want to see if the audience likes it too, though. Yep. They definitely like it. So you guys are on the right track. We got lots of comments.
I'm just curious, Rollis.
Huh?
Is there Nurse Blue in any of those audiences?
I know. It's like all these guys, people dressed up in suits.
I'm looking for Nurse Blues.
Okay, I need to get some footage of some nurses clapping next time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if I can find that. I haven't been able to find it so far, but I'm going to keep looking until I find it. So thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. And I know you've got to head out, Devon. I want to thank you for your time with us today, Devon. You've been amazing. Before you head out, I have one question for you. If you had a choice, would you never eat at a restaurant again or never be able to eat your 10 favorite dishes again? If you had to make a choice, which one would you take?
Never to eat your 10 favorite dishes again?
Mm-hmm.
Devon, you can't. Devon, you can't say not to eat at a restaurant. You know you can't give up your 10 dishes. You know what some of those 10 dishes are, right?
Exactly.
You can't give them
So
up.
well, with that holy nudge, I'm going to say give up the restaurant for sure. You
can cook them food.
That's right.
You
Very
know
good.
what
That's my answer.
Very
My
good.
answer, Rollis, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, Devin. Well, thank you. Have a great rest. Have a great rest of the day. Appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll slip off momentarily.
Yeah. Nice
Okay.
to meet you, Devon.
Nice to meet you, Ena. Nice to meet you, Derek.
Yes, nice to meet you as well, Devin.
Yeah,
Okay.
and be sure, guys, look at the comments later because we're tagging you guys in this. So please look at the comments because there's lots of comments coming in. I can't read all of them, but I think they're going to have questions. So this is a great opportunity for those in the audience to follow these individuals. They're great folks to follow. And if you guys don't mind, if you'll just keep looking at the post later, that'd be great. So I want to get your feedback, Derek. Which one would you go with? No restaurants again ever, or your 10 favorite dishes?
No restaurant ever, and start my own garden.
Okay. That sounds good.
Go fresh.
How about you, Ian? I think I know which way you're going to go.
Oh, that's easy. No restaurant, man.
Yeah. Okay. Now, speaking of top 10 favorite dishes, what's in your top 10? You just at least give me a couple of them.
Top 10. Okay, I like oxtails.
Oh, yes. It's my favorite.
I like shrimp and grits. And I like, my wife does a callaloo and stewed chicken as well.
Is your wife Jamaican?
No, she's from Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, nice. Okay, great.
That's close enough. We'll take
That's
it.
close enough.
Yes.
We'll take it,
That's awesome.
Yes.
When you start saying
Yes.
callaloo, I'm like, what? Wait a second.
Yes.
You know, when we're in the Caribbean, we're all like, separate but not quite equal. Like you're from Trinidad, you're from Barbados, you're
Right.
from Jamaica. We vie for who's bigger, better, and broad. When we're here, we're from the Caribbean. So that's
All right.
That's good.
There you go.
Exactly. Rosina says no restaurant. I love my cooking, so she's with you guys on that. Okay, so we're rounding here towards the end of this. I want to make sure we get a couple more things here. Any quality initiatives you'd like to talk about, or if you'd like to talk about how you're building trust with your staff, either one of those two. Ena, you want to take either one of those topics? What would you think?
What was the first part?
Any quality initiatives that you're doing?
Of course, our big focus right now is on vaccinations, and I'm so proud of our organization. We've done such a fantastic job. Our state is about almost close to 80% vaccinated.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And our organization was very front and center. I think we have administered over 400,000 vaccines. Wow. We opened 10 vaccine sites and just phenomenal work. Great work with our community partners. In fact, I think we're about 25, maybe about 26% now in terms of our diverse communities vaccinating. We have mobile vans, I mean, we threw everything at it. So really, really great work. But some of that was because of, relationships that we had been building for years and years and years in our community. We have these folks we call community ambassadors. We were able to engage folks in research in the vaccination development. We had a large, diverse population that really volunteered to do that. And I think that was one of the reasons we were able to communicate the fact that this is a safe vaccine to have, because, there were people in their neighborhoods who were in the vaccine trial. So that's kind of some of the work that we're working on. And we're always working on, hospital-acquired infection, which are things we wrestle with all the time. So I'll leave it at that. And what was the second part of your question?
That was excellent, and I think a lot of folks in the audience appreciate it as well. So, of course, I don't have any nurses in the audience, but let's just pretend the nurses are on their off shift. How about that?
Yeah, they're working. That's why they're not.
They're working.
Okay, Derek, how about you? Which one do you want to go with? Either quality initiatives or trust building, either one.
Well, I think it's quality is huge for us. And as Ena stated, vaccines have been the priority for the Houston community as well. Texas Medical Center alone, and that's a collaboration with all of the medical centers in Houston. We're approaching 1 million community members vaccinated. So that's really huge.
Wow.
For the city of Houston.
Yes.
And so we continue to push that effort from our outpatient. We kind of moved it. It was both inpatient and outpatient, but our outpatient ambulatory care services have stepped up to the plate, and all of our clinics are administering the vaccine. We started with the 12 and up now as well with the Pfizer vaccine. So I'm very excited about that. But, for quality, we really want to get to a place where we're at zero harm to our patients. And so we've developed electronic quality boards on all of our units, and we display our quality, our goals. And so our goal is always to get to zero. And so we count the days that we're zero harm. And so we have units that are over 500 days CLABSI-free, greater than 400 days, HAPI-free, CODI-free, greater than 600 days. And so now we want to take that, instead of looking at it individual unit base, look at it at a hospital and try to get the hospital at zero across the board. So that's going to be a huge challenge for us, but that's something that we're going to put out in front of all of our staff. So very excited about that.
Ooh, I love that. Rosina loved the idea of community ambassadors, by the way, Ena. She loved that concept. Michael, he's about trust. He says, building trust always begins with self-trust, holding yourself accountable to honor, integrity, support with your team, compassion and strength, letting them know how important they are to the mission. Any thoughts on that? You want any feedback on that?
No, but I got to run to a meeting really quick, and I need to jump off.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you, Ena. We'll talk. I want to hear more about that. The nurse, the subject matter expert at night.
Okay.
And managing the GNs. I really want to hear about that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. We'll be in contact.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And guys, in the comments, let us know what resonated with you today from our discussion, and so we can give great feedback for Ena and Derek and Devon and Patti and all those who gave their time for us. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts. How did that land on you with that comment I just read?
Trust is an everyday work, right? And I always believe that the way you build trust is that you have to allow people to know who you are and see who you are. I was never one to cry, but every now and again, something will hit me in a meeting and I'll let it happen. But it really means that you take the time to understand who your team is. And I tell people all the time, it doesn't always necessarily take a half an hour to get to know somebody. It really means you pause and you look them in the eye, and when you ask them, how are you doing? You're truly asking them, how are you doing? And you want to hear. And then when you hear how they're doing, that you accept what they say to you. So, and sometimes that is not going to be a nice response. Sometimes it's going to be, I am not doing well because this place doesn't work. And so my second question is, well, tell me how it doesn't work. And what can we do to help you or make sure that works? So really being able to have that listening ability. I spend a lot of time with our staff nurses. Basically, we round a lot here. And part of that is just trying to listen and then to really then loop back to the team and sometimes saying, you know what, I got it wrong. Or I said something and I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. So being honest about those things. And, I tell them all the time, I'm human, I'm a work in progress. I am not yet arrived. So I expect you to help me to arrive at where it is that I'm supposed to arrive to. But, I'm a work in progress. And though I'm your CNO, trust me, I don't have all the answers. And in fact, I think sometimes your answers are lots better than mine. So making sure that the people who need to know where the work is, that those are the individuals that you engage in the conversation. One of the other things that I do is every Friday, and I've actually done this for 3.5 years, every Friday I send an email communication out to the team. And that communication is, we celebrate them. If somebody got an award, it's in the newsletter. If they publish an article, it's in the newsletter. It's funny now because now they start sending me stuff they want me to put in the newsletter because they want everybody to know about it. So it's now getting easier for me to actually put that out because they're helping to build that weekly communication. But it's really all about them. It's information that we think they need to have. And I also have an email that says Ask the CNO. So anybody can get on that email and send me a question, and we try to respond to them in a couple of days. And there are times when I just say to them, look, here's my cell phone. Why don't you just call me? This is not one of those things I can respond in an email. We probably need to talk about this. Are you up on your unit? And can I come up to see you in a couple of minutes? So whatever it is, meeting them where they are and, trying to connect with them. And again, I don't have all the answers, and it's, I don't know how to do it right, but I keep working at it. And then I ask them to tell me, what do they need from me and how can I be of service to them?
I love it. That was a great way to close today out. In fact, I've got a little visual here. This is how if we had a crowd for you, this is what they would be doing right now. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time today with us. It's been amazing. Thank you for everything you do for healthcare, and not only in your community, but now you're spreading it out throughout other places. So thank you for what you're doing, and please give our thanks to your staff as well. Yeah,
and I see a lot of nurses scrolling up, making comments. So I'll just give a shout out to all my colleagues out there and to say, thank you. It's Nurses Month. Thank you for all that you do every day and for all that you have done and you will continue to do. And just remember that we are a very, very strong community. And, we can continue to write the chapters that we want to write in terms of what nursing looks like and the shape of nursing and the change of nursing and the face of nursing. And so those of us who are in leadership, I encourage you to continue to use your voice and use your status and your position to make things happen wherever you are. And together, I think we can accomplish really amazing things.
Absolutely. Thanks again, and thanks to everyone for watching today. Thanks for all your great comments, and we invite you to please comment on the replays as well, because we're going to be looking at that. Let us know what resonated with you from today's session, so we can give that feedback to our wonderful CNOs who participated today. Ena, definitely thanks again for you being on. Let's say bye to everyone. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay,
this is so cool.
Yeah, one second before we hit the end stream. Jonathan, you let me know when it's okay to hit the end stream button. Or Joanne.